Hello and welcome to Ham Nation, episode 494 for May 12th, 2021. We've got a great show. Please stay tuned. And how's it going, everybody? I am Josh, KI6NAZ. Thanks for coming back and clicking on Ham Nation live here on the Ham Radio Crash Course. Got a big show. We're going to be talking to a couple of folks. We're going to have a cool little talk here. But before we kick that off, let's go around and say hi to our hosts. Good evening, everybody. We'll start with Amanda. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome, actually. It's actually starting to feel maybe more closer to summer here in Colorado than it is winter. So ready to move on and plant a garden. Anyhow, we got a great show ahead. Stay tuned. I'm watching chat. Send us your questions. We have some great segments, so I'll be watching. All right. Thanks again for coming out, too. And Dawn, how's it going?
Hey, you know what's great? I'm still surfing the afterglow from YL night a couple of weeks ago. You ladies did wonderfully. It was really cool to see Dr. T on live. We're going to have her recorded with her solar update coming up right after the Newsline segment, the Ham Nation headlines. And also, I want to remind you here at the top, if you have not nominated your Young Ham of the Year for Newsline yet, you need to get on the Newsline website, arnewsline.org. Get that nomination form under the awards tab and do it. Only a couple of weeks left in the nomination period. It ends the last day of May at midnight Eastern. You have to have those in the email. We have to have received them before midnight Eastern on May 31st to be eligible. So you got to get on the stick. Only a couple of weeks left, Josh.
All right. Good update. Thank you very much for that. And Gordo's back. He's been off for a couple of weeks, but we're putting him back to work. So glad you joined us again, Gordo. How you doing?
All is fine. Hawaii is calling on 2 meters simplex. Wow.
All right. And rounding it out, how are you doing, Valerie? Good to have you back again.
I'm doing good. Hopefully you guys, all you moms out there had a good Mother's Day. I know I did. My daughter, I don't know if you could see this, but she got me a little Morse code bracelet. It says, "I love you, Mom."
Oh, nice.
Code. Isn't it cute? Surprise, surprise, this morning, too, in my inbox, I got a updated photo from Victor for all of you who were following us on Twit. If you want to show that, Josh, there's little Jordy.
Oh, what
a little update on little Jordy, Victor's son. So congratulations, Victor. He's gorgeous. So, but tonight I'm going to start things off. First off, there's so much coming up. So I'm going to start off with this weekend. We have the Visalia DX convention coming up, and this is a virtual convention. So you can just go to their website here, and it's Visalia or DXconvention.com. It's DXconvention.com, and go ahead and register. And they've got all kinds of great prizes. And if you look at the prizes, Josh, if you go in there, it's mostly cash. So Lots of cash, thanks to DX Engineering, Flex, and DX Lab, and, the Northern NCDXC. So go ahead and register. Lots of great programs this weekend at the Visalia DX Convention. So don't forget that. Live with me tonight, I'm joined with Tim Duffy, K3LR, and Rick Allnut, Whiskey Sierra 8 Golf. Thanks, guys. Welcome. So we're going to talk about all the stuff going on next week. So Tim, why don't you start it off and tell us about Contest University coming up?
Yeah, so Val, we have a great program, and it is hitched to Hamvention. And you see here that the first thing that's going to happen next week is Wednesday night. And Val, you're going to host the virtual contest super suite. And we're sorry we can't give away free pizza, but it is go ahead and put that slide back up, Josh.
Sure.
It is the virtual contest super suite hosted by Val and V9L, and that's going to start at 8 o'clock Eastern time, and it could go on for hours and hours and hours. And all you have to do
midnight is fluid.
Yes, midnight is fluid, and midnight depends upon where you are. So, and all you have to do, Josh, is to click on that link that is there below Val, and the link will take you right to the virtual contest super suite. That's next Wednesday evening here in the U.S., and of course, anyone around the world can join that. It's just a fun time, and Val's got a lot of cool rooms that are involved with it. So that's really great. And then Thursday is Contest University, and that's starting at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, which is 13 Zulu. So get ready for some great presentations. And Josh, if you can go back to that slide, let's take a look at the presentations real quick. There you are. You've got cloud contesting, and this is from WW2DX, who is remote ham radio. And Frank Donovan, W3LPL, is going to give a great presentation on preparing your station for competition. And even if you're not a contester, there is so many tips and tricks that are in the W3LPL presentation. M0DXR from London, England is going to be on with us. And also K1AR is going to be on. And then DK6SP will be live from Germany, talking about youth in contesting. And from Russia, it's UA9BA, Willie, and he's got a great presentation on what it's like to contest and operate HF from Russia. CT1BOH, Jose, is going to talk about propagation. His presentation is phenomenal. And then, if you haven't had enough, Rob Sherwood, the NC0B, is going to talk about the latest transceiver performance for HF and DX operators. It's really going to be great. And during the day, thanks to Hamvention, ICOM America, and DX Engineering, we're going to give away 4 ICOM radios. But you have to be registered and present on Zoom. So sign up. Go to contestuniversity.com and sign up. It's next Thursday, May 20th. It is going to be an exciting day. And it will be recorded. So in the event that you can't watch all of it, it will be recorded and available on YouTube. And then we go on to Friday. And Rick, what's going to happen on Friday?
Well, the excitement just continues on Friday. We're going to be having the Hamvention forums, where each of the major prize winners that have been chosen by the Hamvention Awards Committee will be given the opportunity to speak for about 45 minutes about topics that have to do with what they've been doing. And Val, you know all about one of those. The special achievement winner, Wes Lamboulay, is going to be introduced by you. In fact, each of the award winners will be introduced and moderated by one of our Amateur Radio of the Year winners from one of the recent past years. You'll be doing Wes. I know that Joe Taylor is going to be introducing our Ham of the Year, Angel Vasquez from Puerto Rico. They work together at the Arecibo Observatory doing scientific projects, and that's going to be really a lot of fun to be able to do. All of this information is out on the hamvention.org website. There's all of the presentations and those that are doing the introducing.
And don't forget our very own Dr. T. She's going to be in there too. She's one of the winners.
Absolutely. I had the privilege of calling her up and letting her know that she'd won. So that was really a lot of fun to do that. Like Contest University, there will be 4 radios and several pairs of tickets to Hamvention 2022 that are going to be given away at random times. You have to be registered and you have to be present to be able to win. There'll be 4 different ICOM radios, there's a 705, there's a 7610, and 2 7300s that'll be given away. And thanks very, very much to Tim Duffy and DX Engineering, and also to ICOM America, and also to all of the volunteers at Hamvention that have been able to help put this all together. That's followed by the next day, one other set of activities, and that is a QSO party for Hamvention. Using and the information for that is also out on the hamvention.org site. Just a different tab that deals with that. It's a real simple and friendly QSO party. It'll be CW and single sideband. All of the bands that are used for contests between 10 and 80 meters, if we can get them to work that day. And we will be having a number of operators that are members of the Dayton Amateur Radio Club acting as W8BI operators and giving people 10 bonus points for contacting W8BI in either mode and on the bands. Once per band, once per mode, and that'll help if you want to be able to have a higher score when you report that to 3830scores.com. Everybody that participates will be able to download a certificate from the hamvention.org website, which is actually already sort of hidden from everybody, but it's already out there and ready to be turned on the day of that QSO party.
So,
Good
Val,
job.
we need to make sure everybody registers.
That's
Absolutely.
right. And
They need to go to contestuniversity.com, hamvention.org. You need to register for both events, and you can do it right from here. Both events, you can register right from here. Do the registration because you have to be registered to be a part of Zoom. And we will be broadcasting live on YouTube as well for both events, but you want to be on Zoom because that's where the prizes are.
exactly. And then don't forget to join us for the party the night before, Wednesday night. And don't worry, it's not going to be one big room where everybody's talking over each other. We're making all these different breakout rooms so you can go off in little groups. And so it's just going to be a real large rag chew or, super sweet party, I guess. So, Amanda, do you have any questions for these gentlemen before we say goodbye?
I do. Actually, the one, it was in such small wording, the word free. I just want to verify all of this is free, right?
All of it's free.
That's amazing. That's the really surprising part. The next thing is I just was kind of curious on how many people have so far registered for all of these events. Val, you first.
Oh, I don't. We just set up the Zoom. The Zoom is not an invite thing. You just click on the link and you're in the Zoom party. So there's no registration for the super sweet party.
So we think that many hundreds of people will be in the Zoom party on Wednesday night. We're planning for at least 300, maybe 400. It could get crazy.
We had a smaller version of this last year because Jerry and I usually have a pre-Dayton party. And I'm going to say over the course of the night, we had close to 100 people, but that was just our inner circle. So now we're opening up to all of Contest U and everybody watching this show. You don't have to be a part of Contest U to come to the Wednesday night party. So hopefully it's going to be a nice, fun time.
Yeah, but for Contest University, there's almost 2,000 people signed up already. Last year we had 3,000. So I expect now that everybody's getting to see this on Ham Nation and they go to contestuniversity.com, they'll sign up. And we expect to have almost the same number for the Hamvention forums. And there are 4 great presentations on Friday. So what a great way to spend Hamvention weekend. Wednesday night, Thursday all day, Friday, and then Saturday with the Hamvention QSO party on the air. Get on the air.
That's right. So some days of learning and then getting on the air and having fun. So Rick, same thing. All of your stuff is free. Everyone's registered. Now, did you guys do this last year as well with the forums?
I don't think that we did that last year. We certainly were not doing the award winners and giving them the chance to do that. But one of the interesting things is that we normally have the award winners talk a little bit at the awards banquet, but that's not generally publicly available to people. This is really a great opportunity for hams all over the world to be able to hear from the people and organizations that we believe are just super, super important. And I thank each of the winners for being willing to give their presentations. Thank the awards committee for doing that, and I really thank DX Engineering and ICOM America and Ham Nation for being able to help us to let people know about this. So that the more people that can learn about this, the better.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the best thing is that you don't have to do it, be on it live. So I'm really looking forward to just registering so I can watch the recorded version later. I think that's awesome for all of us that don't get to take off of work or we can't watch it during our work hours. So that's great. And the forums are the same way, Rick, is that correct? They'll be recorded, so if we register for it, we can watch it later?
Right. They're going to be on the DX Engineering YouTube channel and available long term. But the disadvantage of that is that you don't get to win radios.
Yes, that's a true statement.
By the way, the Hamvention forums start at 11 in the morning, and they'll go on until probably just before 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Very good.
That's Eastern Daylight Time.
Okay. Let's see. What else do we got here? Tim, you wear so many hats, my friend. Tim, I just want to remind everyone viewing, Tim is always available for any kind of, how many different kind of forums do? You offer to clubs all over the world now?
Yeah, thank you for asking, Amanda. We have 10 different presentations that I can give via Zoom or whatever platform your club is on. In fact, I'm going to be in Australia here in 2 weeks. It's 3 o'clock in the morning here, but hey, it's going to be like 4 o'clock in the afternoon over there. So yes, I'm available, and it's real easy to get your club to have a Zoom meeting with K3LR. It just send an email to K8MNJ, K8 Mike November Juliet at dxengineering.com, and Terry will set you up.
And Terry's fantastic. I wish she was here with us. Next thing, is your contest station opening up this year? Are you getting ready for all the contests? Everyone coming in again, or how's that working out?
Yes, absolutely. And this is not a green screen. This is the real deal back here. And yes, Amanda, I'm glad you asked that. We are going full bore. The operators are very excited to come back. We'll be in the CQ Worldwide RTTY contest. That'll be the first thing. But before that, I'll be hosting Kilo 2 Mike in the 13 colonies. And we'll also have our local club field day. We'll be here at K3LR. So we're all vaccinated. We're ready to go. And it's been a long drought, so it's going to be good to be back.
I bet it's going to be a blast. I can't wait to see the details on that. All right. Well, I didn't see much more in chat. So thank you all for joining us. Valerie, I'm going to send it back to you.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you register again. You can go to either contestuniversity.com or hamvention.org. You can register for both at both places. But if you go to contestuniversity.com, you can also find the link for the Wednesday night party. And don't forget dxconvention.com for this weekend, with lots of cash and gift certificate prizes as well. So you could really clean up over the next 2 weeks and learn something and everything. So all these conventions, come for the camaraderie and the knowledge, and stay for the prizes. So thanks, guys, for joining us. And I'll see you guys next week for all these virtual events. Let's hand it over to ICOM, right? Thank you. All right, now a word from ICOM.
The great outdoors is calling. Get outside and under the stars with one of ICOM's ultimate SDR transceivers. Stay connected while off the grid. The IC705 is a perfect transceiver for hams who want to enjoy both the great indoors and outdoors. It's the perfect QRP companion. This transceiver has features and functions at the tips of your fingers in a portable package covering HF, 6 meters, 2 meters, 70 centimeters, and the weight is just under 2 pounds. 4.3-inch color touchscreen with live band scope and waterfall. 5 watts with BP272 battery, or 10 watts with 13.8 volts DC input. Create your own band opening with the IC9700. This transceiver brings direct sampling to the VHF-UHF weak signal world. This all-mode transceiver is loaded with innovative features that are sure to keep you busy. 4.3-inch color touchscreen with real-time high-speed spectrum scope and waterfall display. Smooth satellite operation with 99 satellite channels. And it supports dual watch operation and full duplex operation in satellite mode. Visually sees the VHF-UHF world with ICOM's IC9700. Heard it, worked it, logged it. ICOM's IC7300 is a high-performance, innovative HF transceiver with a compact design that will far exceed your expectations. This innovative HF transceiver digitizes RF before various receiver stages to reduce the generated inherent noise in different IF stages. ICOM's IC7300 is a radio that changed the way entry-level HF is designed. Visit icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on all the great ICOM radios.
All right. Thank you very much, ICOM, for supporting the show. I myself just dropped down some money to pick up a 7610, so I'm kind of waiting like a lot of you are for their next radio to show up. So it strikes me too. But hey, some good news too. ICOM does a giveaway for a radio every month in addition to the support they already give to the show. And this month it was an ID 4100, and that winner is Keith D. KN4AQJ. So congratulations, Keith. They also give away swag prizes 2 times a month, so six winners every month. And these winners are Derek Rader, WV8DCR, Travis Layton, KI5KHL, and Brian Wade, W8HTB. And the best way to get in on the giveaways, including the radio giveaway, is make sure you go to icomamerica.com/hamnation, or you can see the link in the description. It'll take you right to it. And you can sign up 2 times a month to be able to get in on that giveaway, or every time we go live with Ham Nation. Also, big congrats to Ray Novak. Got a promotion at ICOM. Now he's taking over Maritime Radio, or Maritime Mobile Radio, which is awesome. He's probably one of the busiest men in amateur radio now, because he's doing both ICOM amateur radio and marine mobile. So good for him. Well, it's time to throw to Gordo. Gordo's got a cool segment for us to talk about tropospheric ducting. So take it away, Gordo.
All right. Well, thanks, Josh. And yeah, we've got one of the ICOM Maritime Mobile HF radios. And yes, it does ham radio as well. Well, we love summertime weather, because summertime weather always brings in the clouds and the mist and the high pressure systems and low pressure systems. Let's take a look and see what happens in the atmosphere, not the E layer, D layer, or F1 or 2 layers, but the good old atmosphere, and what it can do to a 2-meter 440 wave. Well, as we look at the atmosphere, we know that as we go higher in altitude, for every 300 feet of elevation, we lose 1 degrees Fahrenheit. So at 5,000 feet, gets a little chilly, minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Moisture, we lose about a half a gram for every 1,000 feet, and pressure, we lose pressure, we lose about a millibar for every 1 kilometer that we go up, and pressure decreases logarithmically. Normal pressure 29.53. So we look out the window and we see a normal day. And on a normal day, the refraction of air at 1 does exactly what we would think it would do, and that is, the higher in elevation, the colder it gets. We also lose water vapor. That's why our hair gets all fuzzy when we're in the aircraft up at 40,000 feet. And the pressure is less if you're outside the aircraft. So this is a normal nomograph of normal air. Well, hams, we know that radio waves are a little bit abnormal. They go slightly further, about 20% further. And if we were to take a laser, which we'll do right after these shots, and put it in a medium of a liquid, we'll see a very slight bending. This is the refraction. Well, as we go to a normal day in May or June, we begin to see something happening on the 2-meter and the 440 bands. In fact, if you look real carefully, you'll see that there's a little band of smog. Not that you ever have smog in any other parts of the country than where Josh and Gordo are here in LA. But yeah, there's a little bit of smog down there, but it immediately turns into blue air and things are normal. Air is normal. When the high pressure cells begin to fill in throughout the United States, we begin to see that high pressure begins to overlay the cool air below it. And when we have a high pressure system setting up, the high pressure cell has a lot more warm air in it than the cool air coming down. So that high pressure system begins to sink, and we call sinking high pressure air subsidence. Well, when it gets down to about 1,000 feet, it does something interesting and good for us on the 2-meter band, because it's going to do something interesting that will enhance our range by several hundred miles. Well, many hundred miles, maybe 1,000 miles. And many times locally, we can see it. Now, here's a normal day, a couple of pelicans doing their thing. Remember that little notch at our local island 20 miles away, because that notch is going to do something very different when the high pressure system comes in. Now, dxinfocenter.com. Make a note of that. That is the Hepburn Report. William Hepburn every day comes up with these great graphics. DX Info Center, and center is TRE at the end of center. You're going to see where enhancement of both optical as well as VHF and UHF radio waves could take place. Look down there in Texas. Texas is going to be working all the way to Florida quite easily on 2 meters and the higher bands. Now, we've all seen when we look down inversion of light coming from above, and that we know as a mirage. Well, these mirages always occur on a hot day where the pavement superheats the air above it, and that causes it to become so dense that it'll actually refract, not reflect, but refract the light from above. You could aim a microwave down there and it too would refract off of the mirage. So next time this May, June, or July, especially in July, when you see mirages, you know that things are going to be popping on the 2-meter band. Wow, look at this. It's beginning to fill in, and that is the high pressure system sits over Southern California, and off the seacoast we see that brown, smoggy air just sort of hanging there. This is good. We can't wait, because Hawaii has a beacon on 2 meters and 432 and 1270 and higher, and with our ICOM 9100 we tune into the beacon. We don't hear squat, but the ICOM radios all have digital signal processing. Listen to what happens 2,500 miles away. You hear the CW? 2,500 miles away from a 50-watt transmitter on the slopes of an active volcano. Well, anyway, throughout the rest of the country, you won't be hearing Hawaii, but you start looking out there and you'll notice that as the clouds and smoke begin to rise, all of a sudden they hang a left or a right, and there is a distinct inversion layer. And that word inversion means that the air above, instead of getting cooler, it's getting warmer. And the reason it gets warmer is because the high pressure system is sinking, subsidence. And when it sinks down to about 1,000 feet, sometimes lower, it begins to compress air. And when you compress air, yep, you've now got an inversion layer. Well, this is a neat thing about an inversion layer. On the 2-meter band, 432 and 1200, FM, AM, sideband, digital, the signals will get caught up in that about a 10-degree difference of temperature, and they will refract back and forth within the inversion layer, and come out the other end hundreds, sometimes 1,000 miles away, much like a radar wave does inside at 10 gigahertz, a little bit of radar waveguide. Well, it's like a waveguide, but not quite like this. The inversion waveguides occur every June, July, and August throughout the United States. Up in the Northeast, you can work down to Florida on 2 meters and 432. Florida works Texas. The Great Lakes is working into Central California. Just on the far side of the Rockies, Denver is able to work Chicago. And those of us on the West Coast were able to work Hawaii. And this is amazing on the tropospheric ducting phenomena. We see that it also occurs when a warm air mass collides with cold air, and beside tornadoes and terrible things like that, many times we'll have enhancement of 2-meter signals. Sometimes the ducting becomes so pronounced that we'll have a twin tropospheric duct, and the thinner the duct and the higher the temperature within the inversion layer, 10 to 12 to 13 degrees Fahrenheit higher, the more pronounced and the stronger the signals we'll be able to get in tropospheric ducting. Well, tropospheric ducting just doesn't affect CW signals and so on. It can also work on FM signals as well. We'll be able to see that where we have a difference of the fluids inside here. They have different densities. And look what happens when a straight line all of a sudden takes a reflection and a refraction within that tropospheric duct. It's even better in July, because in July, the tropospheric ducts, part of a high pressure system sitting overhead, you're in your shack going, oh God, it's so hot. There's no wind, nothing happening. Turn on your radio, because things are happening. Because look at this, we're able to see land masses well over the horizon. You see the point of land up at the top. Well, look at all the islands beyond that, hundreds of miles away. This is amazing. Now look at this. This is a very low elevated tropospheric duct where we're able to work Hawaii right on the sand. If you notice right down on the deck at the land, you're going to see reflections and an elongation of all the images, quite visible. Imagine what would happen if you had a radio wave in there. It even gets more exciting. All of a sudden, you're looking at buildings and you see like mysterious buildings to the left and the right. I'm looking out at a ship and I see its reflection off to the right of the bow of the vessel. I take another look through a pair of binoculars and, oh my gosh, that's actually a phantom ship that we're seeing thanks to tropospheric ducting. Now, remember that notch that we showed you earlier on the local island, Catalina Island? No longer is it a notch, it's now a bridge. Wow. And then all of a sudden it does this about 5 minutes later, and it's within that band of gray area right off the water. That is where your 2-meter signal or 440 signal will go and go and go. It is made even stronger with hurricanes. As hurricanes move from the south to the north, they begin to bring up nice, warm, moist air that creates yet another layer. So in July and August, when you have hurricanes throughout the south region, throughout the country, actually throughout the world, you're going to see that tropospheric ducting and 2-meter 440 range extension grow and grow. And you can see that in the upper left-hand side, a very strange formation, and that is the tropospheric duct that it can actually visually be seen coming off that hurricane to the south. On the Hepburn report, DX Info Center, remember center is CENTRE, DX Info Center, you'll see that the red and the purple and the white shows intense communications capabilities on microwave frequencies as well as 2 meters and so on. Sorry for most of the western United States, not a lot of activity, but hey, look at toward the east. Yep, there it is, a couple of high pressure systems. Well, when the Hawaiian beacon comes in, you might think, well, it's really going to take a major signal to work with.
K68 Jimmy on the island of Hawaii. Just made contact with N6CA on 3456.
3,456 megahertz. That is microwave. Now, you're probably saying, yeah, you got to have a huge beam antenna. Yep, the beam antenna helps. But at the end, we're going to show how you FM mobilers are going to be able to pick up repeaters hundreds of miles away, beginning right about now. Listen to this
right
on the beam.
0 degrees on. There is 5 degrees off.
What we're showing is that you don't have to have the beam absolutely dead on when tropospheric ducting occurs. Here we are on the West Coast picking up the Hawaiian beacon.
10 degrees off. 15 degrees off.
So 15 degrees to the left and to the right of the incoming signal direction is what a beam will do. And you're probably saying, well, yeah, you got to have a big kilowatt or big fancy radio. No, almost any FM or sideband radio will work quite nicely. Of course, it helps if you have an ICOM radio. But this particular Tropo duct on the West Coast really illuminated Hawaii big time. Now, the beacons are down on the lower portion of the 2 meter and the 432 band, and the beacons continuously transmit, and they are horizontally polarized. And this will give you an idea of what kind of signal it will pass. Not only CW, not only single sideband. We'll take a listen to this on 432. That's Paul, silent key, KH6HME on sideband. And simultaneously, we're going to switch to FM. And everybody says, nah, FM will never work. Wow. Well, that shoots that theory that you have to have sideband to work tropospheric ducting. There's another theory that says that, well, you can't go too high in frequency like up here in the microwave region. These are the Hawaiian hams that are working to keep that station going. And by the way, they're adding whisper. They're adding remote control because it's a job to get to the top of an active volcano to make contact. So we're going to be able to do that toward the end of this summer via remote, via the internet, to be able to talk back to, if there's no one around, ourselves. But listen to this as to the importance or the non-importance of which band the tropospheric duct is causing to come back in 2,500 miles away.
The reception of two beacons, the higher one on 144.170 and the lower one on 432.075. And if you listen real carefully, the beacon on 1296.250.
So wow, when the beacon's in on one band, if it's a nice tight tropospheric duct, not real thick, it will be enhanced by the signal on the higher bands in working Hawaii. So it sure helps to have another operator at the other end. But let me tell you, just the excitement of being able to tune in a tropospheric duct is really going to be something this coming fall. So here's the biggie we were able to do, and that was several years ago, to actually 6 megahertz wide pick up an analog amateur television signal all the way from Hawaii to Southern California, running a whopping 20 watts for 2,500 miles. So amazing things when you look up at the atmosphere and not the ionosphere. Now, for those of you that are with a big vertical antenna and an FM radio, You won't hear the beacons because they're CW or whisper, and they are generally horizontally polarized. But here is something that you might try next time a high-pressure system sits overhead.
In the afternoon. Friday night, clear. Lows 51 to 58.
That is the 24-hour weather channel. Don't listen to your local weather channel, but rather on your ham set that tunes up to 162/400, very slowly turn the dial and pick up a weather station that you've never heard before and just let it sit there. Now remember, weather stations transmit anywhere from 50 to 100 watts. They're generally elevated to serve a certain city. And sometimes during June, July, and August, especially July, those signals will travel hundreds of miles further within the tropospheric duct. So tropospheric ducting is here. The Hawaiian beacon has been coming in off and on for the last week or so here in Southern Cal, very weakly, but we know when June hits, and especially July 4th, we're going to see plenty of fireworks. So try your hand at tuning in, not just your local repeater, but repeaters at, gosh, I never heard a repeater here. Stick around and see if you can break into it, if you have the right CTCSS, or see if you can maybe get the attention on the output. But do tune in and listen for the effects of atmospheric tropospheric ducting. It's fun. So, Josh, I'll turn it back to whomever is going to take it next. Gordo,
Well,
WB6NOA.
Let's take some questions, Amanda. Did you get any questions? Because I've got some too.
Yeah, and I've got a lot of comments. So the first thing is, Gordo, is there anything you don't know something about?
Yes, I'm not really big on computers or digital. I'm more an analog guy. And look at this. Here is what happens within the tropospheric duct. I have 3 different fluids. Susie has made up the different fluids here. And you'll see how that laser beam is bending. When I get it just right, there we go. It takes a real nice bend. So tropospheric ducting, like fluids, all of the activity occurs just off the horizon. And don't go to the top of a mountain or a top of a huge building, because you may be out of the tropo duct and you'll have no reception, and everybody down at deck level are going, I'm hearing the world. You went too high.
That was going to be my next complaint, Gordo. I was camping 10,000 feet up this last weekend, and I was hollering on 5.2 like you wouldn't believe, and no one heard me all weekend.
Wow.
Probably not the same thing.
You got to have a beam pointing down.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, it could have been.
Gordo.
Go ahead, Josh.
I was going to ask, do people use Whisper for tropo duct? Would that be a
N6CA is just put together. That's Chip Angle. N6 Charlie Alpha. He's working with the Hawaiian hams, and we'll have a whisper station on 144-277. You tune a little bit higher than that, and it'll be on 24/7 in about 1 more month, as soon as they get it over there and installed. So whisper is coming for those of you that are very technical and want to add your computer. But you know, whisper in the computer is nice. You wake up the next morning and go, wow, what did my computer work? Nothing beats turning up the volume and going, holy mackerel, 2,500 miles, and I'm hearing it with my ears.
All right. The next thing I had, these are just some comments people were making in the chat about their furthest 2-meter contacts. So this one was really outstanding. K5VY. Sorry, got that backwards. His longest was 650 miles so far on 2-meter simplex.
Yeah.
JC, he says, I love this stuff. Makes me want to revisit 2 meters. Do it, JC. Put up something and see what you can hear. And another one, WS7PB, he says, last week I got a 2-meter simplex contact on 4 watts 30 miles away. So those are pretty amazing contacts the first time you do that. That's for sure. Now, Colorado, we're a little spoiled because we go to mountaintops that are 10,000 feet up, and we can talk about 250 miles away with no problem. So it's a little different here. The only other thing is Gordo mentions all the simplex stuff, but we've seen maybe with the same circumstances in these events that repeaters start interrupting each other that are hundreds of miles away but that are set to the same tone.
So that's correct. In fact, Texas repeaters sometimes complain that they're being overridden by repeaters in foreland, which would be Florida. And the Florida folks saying, geez, we hear Texas regularly during May, June, and July. So if you know the tone, have a long distance chat.
It is a really interesting sound, and the first time you hear it, you have no idea what you're hearing. But once someone tells you what it is, then you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Josh, anything else to add?
I think it's just fun to experience it. I've gotten caught up in a vertical antenna simplex talk conversation, and I'm getting down to coastal San Diego, right? So it's beyond 100 miles, and it's at the deck, so I've got no elevation. I'm already pretty much at sea level. So stuff like that can just happen occasionally, which is a lot of fun, particularly in the summer months. Gordo, if somebody wanted to get started with this, you already mentioned kind of, an FM radio will do it, single sideband radio will do it for 2 meters. Is there a 2-element or multi-element beam that you would recommend people look at, or possibly plans to build their own?
They could do a beam, but I recommend they first start out with just a good vertical, one of the fiberglass verticals from Comet or Diamond, even a plain old simple ground plane. Feed it with good LMR 400 coax, maybe put a preamp on your transceiver if it's an older one, but if it's a newer one, it's probably got a gas-fed preamp, so it's going to be hot. And try the FM weather service at 162, 400 and higher, 425, 450, 475, every 25 kilohertz, and see if you can begin to pick up those weather stations hundreds of miles away, or just start tuning the 2-meter band and see what you hear way in the background. And Tropo ducting, unlike sporadic E that goes up and down, Tropo ducting will just build and will stay solid for hours on end.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, thanks, Gordo, for that. All right, let's throw to Dawn, and we'll check out what's going on with the Amateur Radio Newsline.
Yeah, I want to tell you about a contact that I made once driving to work from South Mississippi to New Orleans. It was about this time of the year, and I happened to have the radio on, and I could hear that our FM at 99.5 was coming in real wonky. There was another station overriding it. So I flipped on the 2-meter radio, and I went to the 14694, which that was the first repeater frequency. 3494 was the very first repeater pair ever. And so there's more repeaters on that frequency for the most part than any other on 2 meters.
I did not know that.
Yeah. 3494 was the first one. And so all of a sudden I'm hearing stations from Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. And for the whole hour drive in from where I live to New Orleans, we had a round table going.
Wow.
And it
That
was
is
the
so cool.
most fun. And 50 watts on 2 meters driving 70 miles an hour down the interstate. Wow. Just the most fun. That was actually, I think that was more fun than my Antarctica HF mobile contact on 100 watts.
That's pretty good.
Those kind of things make the repeater owners cringe, but just the anomaly of it is pretty neat. You got to just sit back and accept it and be like, well, whoever complains about this to the FCC is just going to have to get over it because
there's nothing you can do.
What
and in
can
fact,
you do? Yeah.
And you can always tell because our radio station at 99.5, this was probably more sporadic than Tropo, but 35, 40 miles away across Lake Pontchartrain, the North Shore could not hear it because it was, it was in the skip zone, I guess. But and so we would field calls all the time, and for some reason, if engineering wasn't in, they would throw those calls to me, and I would have to explain to them that it's the atmosphere, it's going to go away, it's going to don't worry about it. Your radio's not broken, and neither's our radio station. Just it's the atmosphere. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, they had to hear their stuff. Anyway.
They have to listen to their morning DJ, otherwise things are not right.
I guess that's it. But that was a lot of fun. All right, let's go ahead and get into the news of the week from Amateur Radio Newsline, and we'll hear from Dr. T as well. From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2271, this is Ham Nation Headlines for Wednesday, May 12th, 2021. In Germany, hams are getting a virtual event as a substitute for Ham Radio Friedrichshafen, which was called off for the second year in a row.
Hams disappointed by the cancellation of Ham Radio Friedrichshafen are being offered Ham Radio World, an industry trade show, as a virtual meeting place from Friday, June 25th to Sunday, June 27th. The CEO of Messe Friedrichshafen, Klaus Wellmann, called the event a digital version of Europe's leading amateur radio trade show. The 3-day replacement event is free and is being coordinated with the DARC to schedule a variety of ham radio topics presented on the virtual stage and a showcase of cutting-edge products. Simulating an in-person environment as much as possible on the platform, the event will feature opportunities for video chat and customizable avatars representing visitors. For additional details, visit the website in the Newsline script of this week's report. For Amateur Radio Newsline, Ahmed Durant, DD5LP.
In Maine, hams are getting ready for a special event this month that will share the tragedy of an American submarine and honor those who died.
82 years after the submarine USS Squalus sank during a test dive in the Gulf of Maine, a group of amateur radio operators is devoting the anniversary date to remembering their tragedy. Although 33 survived the accident on May 23, 1939, 26 died. Members of the Maine Ham Radio Society will be calling QRZ at special event station W1S, and a certificate will be awarded to hams making successful contacts with them. According to the Naval History and Heritage Command website, the sinking was attributed to a mechanical failure within the engine that caused the state-of-the-art submarine to begin taking on water. It took until the 13th of September of that same year for the Squalus to be raised. It was brought to the Portsmouth Navy Yard and decommissioned that November. In May of the following year, it was recommissioned as the USS Sailfish. The hams are hoping that the special event will help everyone remember the Squalus, its crew, and the civilians on board. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Kevin Trotman, N5PRE.
If you enjoy sending or simply receiving in the digital modes, there's a radio show you might want to tune into.
You've probably heard the sound of MFSK 32 in the ham bands, but if you hear it in the shortwave broadcast bands, chances are you're hearing shortwave radiogram. It's a radio show that transmits text and images using digital modes familiar to radio amateurs, but the digital sounds are broadcast in AM. The weekly half-hour show airs on shortwave stations WRMI in Florida and WINB in Pennsylvania. Shortwave Radiogram just celebrated its 200th episode. The project began in 2012 on the Voice of America as VOA Radiogram. Producer Kim Andrew Elliott, KD9XB, explained why he created this unique program.
With more and more countries finding more and more ways to block the internet, we can use radio to get uncensored news into denied areas. Digital text modes via old analog shortwave radio transmitters can do this job. The content gets through even in reception conditions where voice content is difficult to understand.
When Kim retired from VOA in 2017, he moved the show to WRMI and WINB and changed the name to Shortwave Radiogram. Every week, listeners from all over the U.S. and the world decode the text and images and post them on social media for discussion. Kim posts information and the show schedule online at swradiogram.net. I'm Ben Cobb, AK4AV, for Newsline.
The nominating period for the 2021 Bill Pasternak WA6ITF Newsline Young Ham of the Year Award is coming to a close soon. The deadline for nominations is May 31st at midnight Eastern. The nominating form and all information can be found on our website, arnewsline.org. We'll present the award at the Huntsville Hamfest Saturday, August 21st, and we hope to see you there. And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at arnewsline.org. With Ed Durant, DD5LP, Kevin Trotman, N5PRE, Ben Cobb, AK4AV, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wellbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. Now here's the solar update from Dr. Tamitha Skov, WX6SWW.
We have a new active region that's been firing off some pretty big flares, and we have a solar storm headed toward Mars and a solar storm headed toward Earth. Those stories and more in the news this week. Space weather this week is picking up unbelievably quickly. Oh my gosh, there's so much activity, I don't even know where to start. As we take a look at our front side sun, the first thing to look at is region 2822 on the sun's east limb. You can see it gurgling and burgling like that. This region has been a major flare player since it's been on the sun's far side. And in fact, as it rotates into Earth view on the 7th, wham, look at that. It fires off an M3.9 flare just as a way to say hello, and it launches a solar storm. That solar storm is the one that's headed toward Mars, and believe it or not, there's also a minor radiation storm that's involved. So hello, ingenuity and perseverance. You're going to get rained on a little bit. Hopefully everything will be all right for you. Meanwhile, as this region continues to rotate into view, you can see it firing off some more smaller flares, and look in the center disk at this kind of S-shaped thing here on the 9th. Watch this thing erupt. Swoosh! That is a filament eruption, and it is partially Earth-directed, and then, whammo! We get yet another solar storm launch. This flare wasn't quite as large. It was a C-class flare, but now we have two different solar storms. One of them is Earth-directed, so we literally have 3 solar storms in transit right now. The one that's Earth-directed looks like it could graze Earth in and around the 12th, but these are early estimates thus far, so we're going to see if we get better estimates as time goes on. Now, as we switch to our sun's far side, this is stereo A, and it's looking at the sun pretty much from the side. You can see all the bright regions right there. In fact, you can see region 2822 firing off the big solar storm back on the 7th. You can see that shock wave just blast across the sun like that. That's the solar storm that's headed toward Mars. Then you can see on the 9th, you can see again that little S-shaped filament thing. That then erupts, and that goes Earth-directed. And you can see on the sun's far side, and again, region 2822 fires off yet another solar storm. So again, there's those 3 solar storms that are in transit right now. And look past that. Not only do we have a bit of a coronal hole that could be sending us a little bit of fast solar wind here in about 2 weeks or so, but we also have another bright region on the sun's far side in the south. Who knows if this is going to be yet another sunspot, but it could. And with all this activity, we are seeing radio bursts, so space traffic and radio comms might be slightly affected. And amateur radio operators and emergency responders, I'm sure you're loving the boost in radio propagation. Now, focusing on those solar storms that were launched both toward Mars and toward Earth over the past couple days, we switched to our solar storm prediction model, NLOL. Now, this is NASA's version of the model, and you're looking down at the sun from the North Pole, with Earth being off to the right. Now, if we focus on that Mars-directed solar storm first, you can see it launching from the sun right on the 7th. This was when we had that big M3.9 flare from region 2822, and you can watch this solar storm go down toward the east, and you can see Mars there down at the bottom. Now, this solar storm looks like it's going to reach Mars sometime early on the 11th. Now, also, because this was a pretty big flare, we do have a radiation storm that's involved that was launched at the same time. We see it from stereo A. Luckily, this radiation storm is pretty minor, so all the time that this solar storm is making its way toward Mars, poor Ingenuity and Perseverance are going to be bathed in an elevated radiation environment, so hopefully that's not going to affect any of Ingenuity's flights that are coming up here in the next few days. But once that storm passes, the radiation storm will die down as well, and they'll be in the clear. Now, as we switch to the Earth-directed solar storm, this was the solar storm that was launched from that filament eruption on the 9th. It also had another solar storm was launched almost simultaneously from region 2822. So as it comes out, you can actually see it kind of looks like this smeared out thing. That's because there's actually 2 solar storms involved. One of them is going to kind of graze Earth, it looks like early on the 12th. Now, sadly, we do not have any LASCO coronagraph images as of yet. We're doing this all from stereo. So this is an early prediction, and we'll see if the predictions change as more data rolls in to allow us to make better estimates of its arrival time. But for now, expect that we will likely get some type of disturbance starting around early on the 12th, and that means we could be seeing more aurora, and it might even make it down to mid-latitudes. Switching to our solar storm conditions and aurora possibilities over the coming week, we are anticipating the hit from that solar storm that is partly Earth directed. Now this is likely going to be a glancing blow, so we're not expecting all that much activity. At high latitudes, we're expecting active conditions, but we do have up to about a 40% chance of a major storm, and that should hit us right around midweek and last for a day or so, but not too long. Now mid latitudes, we're only expecting unsettled conditions, but we do have up to about a 15% chance of a minor storm. Again, it's going to be hard to tell. It really depends upon whether or not that solar storm actually hits us or it kind of grazes us off to the east. Either way, aurora photographers, definitely keep your batteries charged, because this is the first time we've had a decent chance for a solar storm in a little while. So we have some pretty active space weather to look forward to this week. When was the last time I was able to say that? We've had multiple solar storm launches. One is actually on its way to Mars. One is actually kind of on its way to Earth. And it could bring us some aurora, possibly down to mid-latitudes, if the impact is a little bit more than just that glancing blow we're expecting. So aurora photographers, definitely keep your batteries charged, because we could see aurora down to mid-latitudes, which would be a real treat. Now also, we have that big flare player. This is region 2822. It has already fired an M-class flare while it's been in Earth view, and it's another near M-class flare just a couple days ago. So, and it is continuing to fire C-class flares along with solar storms, and it could easily do this over the rest of this week and possibly into next week before it begins to rotate to the sun's far side. So amateur radio operators and emergency responders, get used to the sizzle and popping on the bands. This is solar activity. It's not your rig. Don't worry about it. The nice thing is that we do have yet another region rotating into Earth view, and that will be continuing to boost that solar flux up so that we have marginal radio propagation on Earth's day side, and we're edging closer to good radio propagation. So keep your fingers crossed that this trend continues. And now finally, you GPS users, well, this is the first time I've actually had to warn you that we do actually have the potential for radio blackouts. So if you are on Earth's day side, and especially near those dawn dust terminators, be very, very careful, because you could have GPS reception issues. So just be aware of that. And then also, when that solar storm hits, if it's more than a glancing blow, remember you can also have GPS issues, reception issues, if you happen to be anywhere underneath or nearby aurora. I'm Tamitha Skov, the Space Weather Woman. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Dr. T. Always nice to have you part of the team. Of course, you follow her on Twitter, like you should, at Tamitha Skov, and also at spaceweatherwoman.com. She's a huge member of the team here, and we sure appreciate her. Also, I want to mention, again, about 2 weeks left to the nominating period for the Amateur Radio Newsline Bill Pasternak WSXITF Memorial Young Ham of the Year Award. The nominating form is on our website, arnewsline.org, under the Awards tab. And also, we couldn't do it without our corporate sponsors that have been there since day one. CQ Magazine, CQ Communications, Heil Sound, Yaesu USA, and Radio Waves Antennas. They all help us out tremendously, and we certainly appreciate them. There it is, under the Awards tab. There's a nominating form. Download form here, and that will take you right to the form. And you just fill that out and email it back into us as a Word file or a PDF. And make sure you get it in by midnight on May 31st at newsline at arnewsline.org, newsline@arnewsline.org, and that'll get you going. Amanda?
Well, thank you, Don. You went right into what I wanted to talk to you about. So we all know this is like super secret, and even you don't get to choose these Young Ham of the Year award winners, right? But
no.
Come on, tell us something. Tell us about some of the attributes some of these kids have won in the past. What makes you a winner?
You know, it's doing something really cool with amateur radio. A lot of public service. We've had winners from public service. So we had that one young ham that during the Florida wildfires several years ago, 13, 14-year-old ham, I believe, maybe 15, was a net control operator in support of the Florida wildfires, and that was the winner. The first winner that I ever met was from 1994. He won in 94. When Hurricane Andrew came through here in 93, he was 15-year-old ham, 16-year-old ham. He was at a hurricane evacuation site, and there wasn't anybody really in charge on premises, and the wind blew part of the roof off. Well, he was able to get on his radio and get information out, because all the phones were down, obviously, and kept everybody safe. There was another one who lived in Houston that helped. His dad worked for NASA, and so he helped train astronauts in the use of amateur radio for onboard the International Space Station and the space shuttle at the time. There was another one who actually taught ham radio to deaf people.
Wow. And
you think, well, now, what's so special about that? Well, of course, packet, keyboard to keyboard, a lot of digital stuff that you can see. But one of his students, who was an adult, got his license, and again, deaf as a post, was so enamored with amateur radio that he put a 2-meter radio in his car, and he couldn't hear it, but he would watch the activity on the S meter, and when the activity would die down, he would pick up the microphone and ID as best he could.
That's cool.
I mean, it was just, yeah. So there's, it could be any one of a million different things. We had one who, Erin was her first name. I'm blanking on her last name now, but she was accepted to MIT, the engineering school at MIT, and with instructions. The acceptance letter comes in an aluminum tube with instructions to hack the tube. It's a tradition at MIT. You do something cool with the tube. So she hung a GoPro on the tube and flew it up on a weather balloon, and she built the APRS tracker, and she made a video of the whole thing. It was shot really neat. Erin King, ERINKING, and this video is on YouTube. Just do a search for Erin King and you'll find it. It's shot from above. She's got her soldering iron and everything, and she's making the APRS and GPS tracker in the tube. She attached the GoPro, put it under a weather balloon, and sent it up to near space, 96,000 feet, I think it was. And it's like a, I don't know, 10, 15-minute video, and it goes from building to launching to way up there, and then to the balloon bursting, and then coming back and recovering it. Just a really, really cool video. And so that was what was part of her winning. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. But the thing is, do something cool with ham radio, and do something to make the world a better place with ham radio. And that's it. And again, the bar is set very, very high. I can't tell you how many people we get every year that say, hey, my kid is a 7-year-old extra. Can you give him a radio? Well, what else is your kid doing with that extra class privileges at 7? Because that's what we want to know about. It's not good enough to be an extra at 7, even though that's cool as it can be. You got to do something cool with that extra at 7 to stand out. So that's what it's all about: excellence and showing that the world is actually going to be a pretty good place when those of us of my age leave it for the next generation. So we're going to be in good hands, I believe. So that's the thing about what's really cool about the Young Ham of the Year program.
Absolutely, and I'm overwhelmed. Like, you and I are going to go sit in the corner and eat crayons, right?
Yeah, and I get to meet them. I get to hang out with them in Huntsville. I get to present the award every year now that after Bill passed away, and it's the highlight of my amateur radio year. It really is. That and being a VE, because I don't really operate near as much as I should or want to, but between that and being a VE, that's my contribution to amateur radio.
And we really appreciate it. And
I love it.
You're going to be in Huntsville again this year, finally.
We are.
Yay.
We are.
Yeah.
We're going to be in Huntsville. Josh, you're coming, aren't you? Yeah, Josh is coming.
I am.
Gordo, you going?
No, unfortunately, I've got a Coast Guard deal, so I won't be there, but I'll be watching.
You go.
All right,
yeah. So
somebody needs to plug Huntsville now. So what's the date for Huntsville?
It's hamfest.org. It's August. I know August is 21st and 22nd. August 21st and 22nd, because the award is the 21st. And also Tom Medlin, W5KUB, he broadcast it live of course, the Ham Fest itself, and he always broadcasts the awards presentation too, which is the Young Ham of the Year award, which is really, really cool. And of course, WTWW will be there, and they'll be broadcasting live as well. And they're huge supporters of what we do as well. So yeah, we're really, really pleased.
Most of the YouTubers will be there. I'll be live streaming. I am staying at the Embassy Suite, so I should be.
Yeah. As am I.
All over the place. So I'm super excited because it's the first time I'm ever going to Huntsville. So this is going to be.
Oh, you're going to love it, dude.
Yeah,
you are gonna
I'm very excited.
love it. Who are the other YouTubers going to be there?
Oh my gosh, Ham Radio 2.0,
yeah.
K6ARK, Kyle A0Z. The list goes on and on. It's a ton of people. I apologize to everybody else. We'll be here for minutes if I keep going. But
all right, good. Well, Jason from Ham Radio 2.0, he's a fellow cigar smoker, so we'll enjoy that. Right. There will be ample opportunity for shenanigans.
Oh yeah, that is a true statement.
My wife's coming, so not too many shenanigans.
Okay.
Oh, come on. Donna's a crazy girl. She's going to have fun.
Yeah.
She's going to have fun. Everything else going good for you, Don?
So far, so good. Yep.
Great.
Still working on getting the real estate license going. I've passed the school part, and I'm now working on taking the test for the actual licensing. I'm taking my time and doing some extra study on that because I really only want to take that test once.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Good call.
All right. I do have one other thing I have to mention here, and Don's going to help me with this because I've been practicing it, you guys, and I'm terrible. So I told Mike that I would make sure I mention this KH6ML, and this is a fantastic special event coming up on June 11th. And this is to celebrate
King Kamehameha.
There you go. Thank you so much. Yep. I did not want to chop that up and insult anyone. But anyhow, it's Friday, June 11th, and it's an all-day event. And what they're really doing is basically they're kind of wrapping it up into an MCOM situation to see who they can hear around the world and who they can get signal reports from, but also making it a fun special event. So you will get qualified for a special certificate and a QSL card, I believe, if you work any of these stations on that day. So listen up for that. I bet I'm going to go ahead and guess that 20 meters is going to be your best bet here in the States, but pay attention to that and look for the spots. So Michael, thank you for bringing that to my attention. And their biggest purpose is to make sure everyone knows why the king was so great in Hawaii and what he has done for their people. So
very good.
Right. With that, am I missing I closed my tab. Oh shoot.
I got a couple of things.
Josh, let's hear it.
Okay, so first and foremost, this Saturday, well actually Friday and Saturday, I'm going to be in Heber, Utah, Heber City, Utah, and we're going to be doing a seminar on Introduction to Ham Radio with the Fieldcraft Survival Training Center. So I will be out there for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. There is also, where is it? Oh, I lost it. Did I lose it? There it is. The YouTubers Bunch Ham Fest is coming up, and that's going to be May 28th, 29th, and 30th this month, basically all weekend long. It is a non-stop Friday, Saturday, Sunday, tons and tons of live content, some pre-recorded stuff. We're going to have some talks on how-tos, all here on YouTube. You don't have to do anything but just pull up the website and we'll have links and you can just go down the list and be able to follow along. So that's going to be super fun. We had 3 super chats. Just want to say thank you to John Pearl, W4ABC. John, and then you have David Steusi. I think that's possibly how you say that name. I probably butchered that. I apologize.
It's Kamehameha.
That's it, Kamehameha. Got it. And Duck Darko, thank you very much for the super chats, everybody. I appreciate it. That's pretty much all I had, Amanda. So
okay. I'll go over the nets and what's coming up in the next couple of weeks. So nets, join us. I saw Steve on chat. So W7UDI is running around 14,268. I did not see Kevin, but if Kevin is on, he's going to be around 71.92. And then we have DMR on 31012, D-Star on 14 Charlie. So be sure to join in on any of those nets. We have so many options available. Josh also runs Discord. Are you going to be on this evening?
So because I'm traveling out, I won't be, because I need to go pack my bags, and I'm taking a lot of gear, so I got to pack it up right so that I don't spend the whole day at the TSA line getting a bazillion questions on why I'm packing what I'm packing. So that's what I'm going to be doing tonight and tomorrow night.
All right, but I did hear that you're in the waiting list now for the 7610, moving on up.
Yeah, I am. So that 7300's not going anywhere there. I've got big plans for that still. So people have already asked me, can I get your 7300? No. It's going into something else special. So I'm not gonna can't say anything more about that yet.
I would really like to have a camper, just a situated camper HF rig. It would be really nice to not have to yank our stuff out of here and take it and travel with it. If I had any money whatsoever, I might look at it, but it's on my wish list in, 20 years or something like that. I don't think next episode is May 26th. So join us. We're going to have some special guests. Amy and Jerry couldn't join us on the YL episode, which thank you everyone for watching that. Val and I had a fantastic time doing that and some great guests. But Amy and Jerry were really sorry that they couldn't make it, and they insisted on being here. And I said, yes, please join us. So they're going to join us with Randy K7 AGE, and it sounds like Val might be back with some more announcements on some maybe some DXpedition winners or some other stuff. So stay tuned. And Josh, thanks again for a lovely show, and thanks to all of our guests tonight.
Thanks for being on, and we're closely approaching the 500th episode. So
we are. That's going to be August 4th, and I did have a nice telephone conversation with Bob yesterday. So I'm not going to give away any surprises, but we're working on surprises.
All right, very good. Yeah. Okay, well, we'll play you out from here. Any last words from the host before we close things out?
Great show, and you'll see Josh and all of his shows coming up in a feature in CQ Magazine, July issue.
Nice.
Awesome. I can't wait to read that.
One more reminder for the Young Ham of the Year nominations. Go to arnewsline.org. You'll find the form under the awards tab. The deadline is rapidly ending. May 31st at midnight Eastern is the deadline, so get your nominations in, and hopefully we'll be highlighting your young ham and presenting the award to them at Huntsville coming up in August.
I'll get that in the description so everybody will be able to take that link.
Excellent.
So. Okay, thanks to the host and thanks to all of you for watching. You have a good rest of your week. I'll be at you here Saturday live again, but until we talk to you, 73.
73.